Greetings, people of the internet. This is Scott with Quirks, and this is 100 Days of Making Comics, day 27. So I have been working on, well, I guess I should explain what 100 Days of Making Comics is for just maybe the handful or maybe one or two people that may not know. It's where I set aside at least 30 minutes a day to work on my own personal comic book project, and so I'm pushing along on my comic book, still scripting and everything. You know the drill. If you've been watching, if you haven't, I'm going to kind of pick up maybe from yesterday what I was talking about. I was talking about San Diego Comic-Con, because that's kind of the big thing that's going on right now. A lot of great, once San Diego Comic-Con goes on, you're getting all these cool trailers for new movies and things coming out, and it's just a big media extravaganza. So some of it even has to do with comic books. so anyway, yeah, that's just it's just become so much bigger than comic books, for better or for worse. Yeah, I thought yesterday I talked about the first San Diego show that I went to and kind of how inexperienced I was, and that was a long time ago. But since then I've actually exhibited at some Comic-Cons. Primarily the big one here where I live is Phoenix Comic-Con, which is a great show. If you're in the Southwest or anything like that, you definitely, and if you're thinking about doing a comic show, it's a good one to be part of. So either just going there as an attendee or as an exhibitor, it's pretty awesome. So I thought I'd just talk about a few of the things that I have kind of learned, and this is going to be brief. I'm not gonna. There's so much to know, but I will give you some. I'll give you some links to some places you can go to and find a little more information about that if you're thinking about exhibiting at Comic Cons. But I think for me, one of the most valuable things that I could say is to just try to stand out, because there's so many different people at these Comic Cons, and it kind of gets difficult to get lost in with all the other people exhibiting and everything. So you want to try to find something unique, whether that's whether that's your booth design, which is something I really try to concentrate on. If you've seen there's an earlier set of a series of videos that I posted of me creating my Comic-Con booth, and you can kind of see all the stuff I went through to build my booth and kind of hopefully attract attention and everything. And not that you have to go into as much much detail or put as much into your booth as I did. That's just something I really enjoy doing, so I kind of look at that as an investment. But I mean, some of that stuff does take a lot of time and money to put together. But like I said, it's something that I kind of enjoy. So I'm happy to do that. But yeah, just even the basic thing, because when you go to a comic book, they're going to provide you with your standard tablecloths and drapes and things like that. But really, why go with that standard stuff that they're having? Even a simple tablecloth or different drapes or different, change the display around so that you do stand out a little bit. And most people do that, so even if you do that, you're still not going to stand out among everyone. But so just think of that. I mean, a big thing you kind of want to think about is, I don't know what kind of products you're selling, whether it's comic books. I try to do a little bit of everything. I've got my comic book that I'm talking about now, but I do a lot of other stuff like prints, and I've got buttons and a little novelty items and all kinds of things like that. And in a future episode, maybe I'll share some of that stuff with you, so you know kind of what I'm talking about. But yeah, I like to have a lot of different products, a lot of different price points, because some people, they're happy with little buttons. Some people want something bigger or whatever. But I also try to, when I say I have a lot of things, I also try to focus everything into a particular brand. So my company, Quirks, focuses on like retro future sci-fi stuff. There's some humor involved, and so I've got all kinds of prints that are in this style. But everything I do, my tagline for the company is like robots, zombies, aliens, and other imminent threats to humanity. So all that kind of stuff, because that's what I'm into: robots, zombies, aliens, and that's kind of how my comic book fits into this whole brand. But Quirks itself, the look of it is it's like kind of like a factory, this kind of mad scientist type factory, and the idea is this this is where we create, you know, all this stuff that, you know, because all these things usually happen in a lab, whether it's zombie outbreaks or, you know, investigating alien technologies and robots and things like that. So this is kind of the lab where all that comes out to. So I've built my display. It kind of looks like a conveyor belt. The table looks like a conveyor belt, and all my, you know, my products are displayed on there, and then I've got, you know, of course, the wall that it's all these weird pipes and things. So that's kind of how I try to tie everything in. So kind of be thinking of that. Whatever you're selling, if you can kind of bring it into a particular brand, I think that's going to help. I mean, it's real easy to go to a comic book show and just sell fan art. You know, you sell, you know, Batman and everything, and that's what most people are doing. And you know, whether that's right or wrong, you know, I mean, you don't really own those characters, but you know, it's sometimes it seems like they turn a blind eye to that, and I do that too. I try to, if I do that, I've done that in the past. I kind of take the parody angle and do like humorous versions of that, but I'm trying to get away from that. Not because I don't like that, and I like doing fan art and everything like that, but the problem with that is that people, when they buy that stuff, they're not buying. It's not you that's, for the most part, they're not buying from you, they're just buying because they like that character. So, I mean, if they could buy this piece and go home and later somebody asks, oh, where did you get that? What, you know, what booth? And I don't know, it's Batman, I just like Batman. So you kind of, and this takes a little while longer to build, and you have to keep going to more shows, and people start to recognize you and your brand and everything like that. So, I mean, that's kind of the route I'm taking, and so I'm slowly trying to phase out anything that's kind of that pop culture centric stuff, which, you know, it sells really well. I won't argue with that, but I do, eventually, I think in the long run, I really want for people to say, oh, I bought this because it's Quirks, not because it's Batman or Spider-Man, which, as you can tell, I'm still a big fan. I mean, I've got Marvel, DC heroes all over my wall murals and stuff like that, because I dig that's the kind of stuff, especially I loved as a kid, and I still do. I have great nostalgia for that, and I love seeing other fan art, and you know, for me though, I do want to kind of go in my own direction, so I want to do my own original stuff. So that's something to think about. Another thing you want to think about is just how to interact with people, and I've always been really introverted. I'm getting a little better with it. So, I mean, that's something, if you can, I mean, I know it's tough, but try to work on it. And that's kind of why I'm trying to do these videos and things like that, to kind of get out of my shell. But you'd be surprised, the more you do it, the better you get at it. But one thing I do is, like any item that I have, I try to have like a little pitch for it. And you've heard it, if you've watched any of these videos that I've been doing, then you know that I have an elevator pitch for my comic books. I just say it's Goonies meets Night of the Living Dead. And that pretty much tells you what you want to know. If you're a fan of those type of movies, you're like, oh, that's cool. Or if you like zombies, then you know that. So just a real quick, you know, thing. And then and you don't want to be a carnival barker. You don't want to go out there and like, buy my new comic, it's the best thing ever, and stand out there. You just kind of, I just basically just you know, I'm in my booth, I smile as people walk by, and usually that invites people to maybe comment or smile back or say how's it going or whatever. And if they stop and they're looking at something on my table, then I'll go say, oh, well, this is you know, this is my comic, blah blah blah, or whatever. So yeah, so just kind of have a little bit of etiquette. You know, don't be out there just, you know, you know, because there's you got to take into consideration the other people that you're you know, you're conventioning with, your neighbors and things. You don't want to be out there trying to pull people away from their table and all that stuff. But I mean, you learn that kind of thing. What else can I talk about? Yeah, I don't know. That's just a few of the things that I like to think about. I think at the end of this video, maybe I'll show some pictures of my booth to give you an idea. But think about what you're trying to sell. I mean, if most of you guys are doing comic books, if you're watching this or you're interested in comics. So how can you take your comic? How can you best best display that, best present it so people know what it's all about, and just try to be original about it. And if you can, try to have some other items along with the comic books, because when you go into these conventions, a lot of people, they just want to go in just to break even, and yeah, that's good, and but you really, if you can, go into the mindset that you'd like to actually make a profit so you can keep doing this kind of thing, and think about ways to do that, ways to, you know, things to offer, you know, things to offer that other people don't have. In lieu of just your comic book, you want to sell your comic book, maybe with some other things. And yeah, there's so much more. And what I'll do, because I could just stand here talking forever about this kind of thing. But I'm going to put some links for you guys to check out if you're interested, if you're thinking about conventioning. There's some really great links. I'll put some in on the comments section of the YouTube channel. So one of the people that has really inspired me, he's local to Arizona here, Daniel Davis, who runs a company called Steam Crow. And if you've been to conventions in the Southwest, maybe you know him. But he's really helped me out. He started this thing called Tiny Army, which is a group here locally where artists get together and they kind of share their experiences and everything. And he's really kind of sort of mentored me in some certain ways as far as how to do these conventions. And this is something that he is really excellent about. He's been doing, I don't know how long he's been doing it, but it's taken a while. And I've kind of seen from the beginning of where, not very beginning where he started, but he was pretty early on in the phase when he started his company, and where he's at now. He's got to the point where he's totally quit his job as a graphic designer. He's now at the point where his wife, who's also part of the company, Donna, she's quit, and they're both, you know, full-time Steam Crow, and they just have some amazing stuff. His thing is like monsters, like classic monsters, is his own kind of version of that. And they're not like crazy, like violent, scary monsters. And they're not cute either. Well, some of them are, but you just kind of have to see it. But I highly recommend you checking that out, because he does some amazing stuff, and he's given me a lot of advice, valuable advice along the way. So that's kind of why I want to try to give some of this back to anyone who's interested. Some of what I picked up, but he had, I don't know if it's still updating, but he had a YouTube kind of I don't know if it's a podcast, but a YouTube show similar to this called Booth Bastards, and he did this with Jason Rogers of Steam Crow, not Steam Crow, sorry, Jason Rogers of Fezzarama, which he does all these really cool fezzes, and it's all, they're hand stitched, hand embroidered, and so I mean, just some really cool stuff. And that's kind of what I'm talking about, you know, thinking about doing, if you can't think about something original. These are things that not everyone else is doing. But they had this this show, and hopefully they'll start updating it again. But even if they don't, if you go back and check it out, it's called Booth Bastards. And they go through all kinds of different topics and tell you a lot of different things that are just great information about convention and things. So I'll put that link in there. But yeah, so like I said, I could go on and on, but I'm not going to do that because there's sort of a time limit I want to keep these at. But what I will do is, like I said, I'll just open it up to questions. If you guys have any questions about, you know, conventioning or anything like that, just let me know, and I'll try to get back to you, either address it on a future video or in the comment section on YouTube. But I'll probably leave you with a couple photos from my booth and everything, so you can and maybe some of my products, so you can kind of see what I'm doing and what Quirks is all about, because I haven't really talked about that so much. I'm more talking about the comic book, which is this. That's what this is about. But I've got 100 days here, so I got to fill it with some other stuff. So anyway, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. That is all.